I see his picture. I don't see video yet. Are you there, Jose? I don't know. Well, we are broadcasting now. I do not hear you, Jose. But that's okay. He will get here eventually. No question.
No question.
Indeed. So, Mother's Day treating you good, Sean? Yeah, that does sound weird.
Oh yeah. I'm happy that there's a whole day devoted to me. Oh wait.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. Like I said, I just took care of some stuff for my wife this morning, and cool. She's spending time with the kids right now, and I'll be going and probably visiting my mom sometime this afternoon. So
yeah, cool.
Which is all good. Trying to avoid eating today because I try to fast on Sundays, but it's like there's always something. So, and I wish there was a way you could reconcile not eating with the fact that social animals like to eat together.
Yeah, I know what you mean. When I have gone to the office and Jose says in Slack that he can't seem to join, so that's trouble. So, but yeah, totally. I go to the office and I'm like, yeah, I'm not eating today. And they order pizza and, that kind of stuff. And, it's probably better that I'm not eating anyway. But, you hear Richard Campbell saying all the time that, when we break bread together, that's when we form our strongest social bonds. And I think that's absolutely right.
Yeah. It's extremely tough to kind of weigh those two things against each other. I don't know. I haven't found a good way. We had a kind of like all company meeting, which is, we're a really small company, my company, and they had like a whole chicken dinner type thing with, fried chicken and potatoes and, the whole works, and it was like, well, today's my fasting day. And so I didn't eat, but it was terrible, sitting there just kind of like, everyone around you's, eating chicken and mashed potatoes and all that stuff. So
it's terrible in seeing everybody and you're not participating, but that was kind of my thing too about the family, was that if they were eating pizza and I was sitting there with my salad, that it's just not the same as fully sharing the thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a social barrier. And Jose's picture is back, but
yeah, I'm using Chrome too. Can you hear? I wonder if Jose can hear us. Maybe I should drop off and try joining back in and see if I have troubles.
Okay. I'll stay here.
All right.
Oh, you're there now. All right.
There. All right. I just needed to do the good old restart the browser deal.
I think Sean was just blocking you, and when Sean dropped off, then you were able to get in.
Oh, so Sean.
My feed's on ransomware.
Yeah.
If you want to get in, you have to pay me a few Bitcoins.
Sean, I think you're a buddy, man.
It's the Hangouts ransomware.
Well, yeah, I am. That's why I let you get in without paying it. So.
He's the bouncer. All right.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. Wow. Tough crowd.
Yeah.
How are you guys?
Doing good, man. Yeah. Mother's Day.
It is.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I didn't see it coming. It's usually I hear about these things some distance in the future, and then this one was like, oh, this week's Mother's Day, really?
Yeah, here in Minnesota, they scheduled fishing opener the same weekend as Mother's Day. So enough people talk about fishing opener that I know when Mother's Day is coming. So
always the same. I see.
Yeah, nice. I don't know why. I don't know if it just happens to fall on the same day or what, but it's kind of silly because fishing over, and a lot of guys are involved in that, and then you're supposed to be, kind of taking care of the mothers. Yeah. I think they might have moved it back because I thought it used to be on Sunday, and this year was yesterday. So I think, I don't know, might be wrong about that, but yeah, it was always kind of like but there's plenty of mothers who love to fish, so it's just kind of weird, I guess.
Yeah.
Or get lucky.
Get lucky.
Yeah.
What are you talking about, Jose?
Hey, I know where Dave's mind is going. Knowing Dave, what I mean by get lucky is, of course, you always want to get lucky. Okay, but besides the point, I'm talking about finding a lady that has the same or similar interests as you. So a lot easier. So if you are a gentleman with a wife,
that
loves fishing like you do, then it's like, hey, for you, I know I like fishing, but I know you love it too. So let's go and have some fun.
There you go.
Yeah, we never hear the parable. We never really hear the parable of the Mexican fisherman's wife. So or maybe the Mexican fisherman is a woman, and this whole time. And
well, part of that was he goes and takes a siesta with his wife every afternoon. So.
Hey,
okay, so they did
siesta, right? Let's call it that.
It's
indeed.
Siesta fiesta.
Yeah.
That could mean a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's the same thing as finding a girlfriend that likes to play video games, just like you do nowadays. A little bit more common.
Yeah.
So that was like the whole the unicorn, at least in my time. But now, gamer girls are so common that it's just like whatever, man.
Yeah. Or the girl that likes football is kind of the other one there.
Right. The gamer, the sports girl, that watches all year round sports and likes to go to the bar, hang out, have some beers. Why not?
So basically, we all just want a dude in our lives.
You're making a strong case here. That's yeah.
My wife and I have a strong outlook on that. But it's something along those lines of sometimes dudes just want other dudes, but with a genital difference. That's about it. That's what she calls it like that. She's like, man, some guys don't want girls. They just want guys with the genitals inverted. That's it. But that's a nicer way to put it.
Yes.
But you guys get my drift. But that's basically it's just right. It's like, hey, I want a girl. I don't want another guy that thinks like me or acts like me. That's what guy friends are for. But sometimes, priority, at least for me.
Yeah,
sure.
Every human relationship is different, so.
Exactly. Yeah.
Remarkable. Yeah, in my house, it's my wife. Well, since it didn't used to be, but since I've kind of drifted away from watching sports on TV like I used to, she's the sports fanatic in the house, and the one that wants to watch games all the time. So It's kind of interesting.
I think the winds are shifting this like that here too, Dave. As my wife is the one that's more up to date with the sports and whatnot, mainly football. Because I started watching again football a couple years ago, so she follows suit, and now she's the one in it, and I'm like dropping out.
Yeah.
So even soccer, I mean, she's the one who keeps up more to date with what's going on in the national teams and whatnot. Oh. So she's like, hey, they're playing tonight. I'm like, huh? What? Who's playing tonight? And then she's like, yeah. I even set up some nachos and some beer. You want to watch? I'm like, all right. I guess now I'm in the mood. Yeah. Sure, why not? She's like, oh, you thought this was for you? I'm like, well, yeah. Like, oh, all right. I guess we can have some too. But she's she's more into that than I am. As I already written about this, that paying attention to sports and all that kind of thing takes a lot of time, and time that I'm not willing to kind of put into something like that anymore. I mean, not to that extent. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm not going to watch any games. I'm just saying I'm going to not watch every game that is out there nowadays.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the month of March used to be just basketball, nonstop for me. That was it. You sit down and, well, Thursdays and Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays anyway, right?
Right.
It's just sit down and watch basketball all day. And then NFL Sundays was the same thing. It's just nonstop, and it's entertaining, but ultimately there's a better way to use your day, I think.
Yeah. I too. I realized that after many years that most of my winter time was around the schedules on games on TV and whatnot.
Yeah. And I finally came to the conclusion that I'd rather live my life than watch somebody else live in theirs. So that's it.
Yeah, that was always kind of my take on sports. It's like I wouldn't mind playing sports, but just watching them, I could never get into them. And it's not just like athletic sports. You get into something like esports. There's a huge following on competitive League of Legends gameplay, and I just can't get into it. It's like I'd rather be spending that time participating in that than watching that. So
yeah. The people that watch YouTube videos of somebody else playing a video game, that's just like, really? I mean, I guess if you're trying to pick up some tips and tricks for how to get
what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that, Dave?
I just if you're going to sit down and consume, if you're going to sit down and entertain yourself electronically, and you have the choice of play the game yourself or watch someone else play, seems like a strange choice that you would want to just watch a video of somebody else playing, unless you're trying to see, this is how they finally passed that level that I'm stuck on. I guess I could see that, but
yeah, or maybe you're just interested in the person's take on things, on the game. Kind of like watching the DVDs with the video commentary on. You kind of want to get an idea of what people think. And that's maybe a little different because it's the people making the game, but people who do professional reviews and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Dave, and to answer your question, I have fallen into the trap sometimes.
It's a trap.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry. Anytime I hear trap, I have to go into Akbar mode.
Go for it. What is it? And I catch myself like following certain people on YouTube for gaming specifically. And it's not because of whatever they're playing. The game itself was mostly the entertainment part, like the delivery that I go for. Like I don't care about the game itself sometimes, but if the delivery is just there, oh man, I get entertained. That's what I use it for. There's this guy, I don't know, maybe Sean might know him. He's from Sweden, called Robas. That guy's hilarious. He plays just any game, he starts cursing, putting stupid stuff. I mean, it's just not for the game itself, like learning about the game and whatever. It's just about stuff, but not to the point where it's being like too silly or too hard, trying too hard. It's just entertainment, raw in itself. And sometimes like, oh yeah, this video is like 10 minutes. Dude, I'm like, okay, the next one, the next part. Like, oh shit, I'm here for like an hour and changes watching this guy's videos, but I get a good entertainment value out of that. And that's where I'm learning that the content is kind of irrelevant. It's how you deliver the content sometimes that matter the most. Because once again, these guys play games I have no intention of playing or ever playing, but yet their entertainment is just up to the roof. And that's what keeps me coming back for more.
It sounds like you. Yeah. Sounds totally like you're talking about podcasts, right? I mean, it's kind of a connection with a person, and when you kind of follow the same person doing the thing over and over again, it's like getting to know them, and it's very intimate and appealing, and that's it's a human connection in a way. Did you hear? Actually, it wasn't when Jeff Meyerson was on Developer on Fire. I think it was when I was on Software Engineering Daily with him. his show that he hosts, he was kind of asking about, well, why do people listen to podcasts? And I kind of cited that I'd listened to this episode that he'd done before, where he talked about that we just want to feel like we're not alone, and that podcasts kind of fills that need a little bit. And I think, watching somebody play video games on YouTube, especially if you don't have anybody that plays video games with you at home, something like that. Maybe it's just kind of a human connection, getting, that kind of thing, I guess. I don't know. All speculation, of course.
Yeah, kind of like a search for a tribe type thing.
Yeah, I guess so. A quest for tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a very good observation. I mean, that's why some developers are even streaming when they code on Twitch. And they have a pretty good following. And you're like, why would I want to watch someone code? I want to code myself, right? It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Why would I want to watch somebody code when I can code myself? Well,
it's like pair programming, except without the two-way interaction. But still, I mean, there's a lot to take away from actually watching somebody do the craft.
Yeah.
There is a lot of two-way interaction in that stuff though too, because they'll have a chat window open.
Oh yeah.
And people will comment and they'll respond to chat.
So,
yeah.
Call that code.
Yeah.
Yes. With the trolls, man.
That's
a different story there.
So anyway, you've convinced me. You've convinced me that watching somebody play video games has a lot of appeal. So I retract my previous statement.
Well, nowadays, we're really, once again, there's plenty of YouTuber people out there, and I don't follow each one of them. I follow specific ones because they appeal to me and what they entertain me. So if I want to say, you know what, I'm gonna blow up like the next hour, I know exactly who I'm gonna watch on the queue. So and I know what the expectations are, right? Cursing, doing stupid stuff, laughing at stupid jokes. But I want that. I want to be entertained like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. We all have different forms of entertainment, right? Mm-hmm. Some people may be reading, I don't know, or watching stand-up comedy or whatever, right? But now the thing is, there's different kinds of entertainment. Something that we didn't have before, right? Before, back in the day, it was on TV and eventually video games. But now we have even more entertainment. And it's insane that just like I was finally listened to the Linda Rising.
Yeah.
And that was, it touched on the fact that there's just too much. It's not a matter of time. It's just a matter of, what is it? I don't know how I should put it, but it's not a matter of content. It's just that it's not a matter of time or not having enough time, but a matter of, it's just too much.
Yeah. The sequel to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was horrible. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. There was not much that was good about it. But one of the things that was really cool was that they die and they go to hell. And Colonel Oaks, right, the guy from the Alaskan Military Academy that Ted's dad was going to ship him off to, is there. And Colonel Oaks tells him, drop and give me infinity. And they're down, doing push-ups and stuff, and they just look at each other and they're like, dude, there's no way I can do infinity push-ups. And I think that's the same thing as consuming all of the content that you want on the internet, right? You're never going to get there. And that was a roundabout way of saying something. But yeah, it is virtually infinite, the amount of stuff that's out there.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not infinite, but
it's quite a bit.
Yeah, big enough that it might as well be. It's practically infinite.
Yeah, but getting back to your point is sometimes like, why am I watching somebody play a video game when I could play this video game, and sometimes I catch myself, like I said, watching those videos or watching somebody play a game or tell their story or whatever, and it's great entertainment. But I'm like, wait a minute, am I not complaining also about the fact that I don't have time to play? So what the hell? How can I be watching somebody play? Well, I don't get to play. So it's like, it's like poor time management for my part when it's like, nope, that's it. This time is allocated to, play the game.
Yeah.
I'm heading back to, because I cannot be a constant freaking improvement machine. Like I've been seeing lately, like you always gotta use the time wisely and all the stuff. So that's my take on that.
Yeah. So did you notice I've been drinking from a .NET Rocks mug?
What does that mean?
.NET Rocks? You don't know .NET Rocks?
I do, but what does that mean? The thing you're too cool now for mere mortals like us now?
No, I'm just, it's kind of funny. I mean, it's the competition, right? I'm using their mug. No, not the competition at all. Those guys are epic and wonderful. I have 2 .NET Rocks mugs because of comments on their page. They
really?
a .NET Rocks mug is on its way to you.
Yeah, that is being around for a long time, if I remember correctly.
Yes. When I talked to Carl and Richard in Oslo last year when I was there for NDC Oslo. I was sitting at the table in the hotel breakfast room, and they said that there's one other podcast that has a claim for being as long running as theirs, and it's kind of depending on how you define when they started or something. I don't know exactly what they meant, but those two are basically the oldest podcasts on the face of the earth, right? So, which says a lot, right? I mean, it's and yeah, I mean, they've been going. I think, I mean, they're what, 1,400 episodes now or something like that, or it's probably not that much, but I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, don't worry, Dave. One day you'll get there, or you get tired of doing it. I don't know, whichever comes.
Yeah,
first.
yeah. So I already shared this with Sean, but the Developer on Fire has gone over 500,000 downloads all time.
Really?
So, yeah.
Congrats, man.
Yeah. Which, I thought that was pretty kind of a thing.
It is.
So, yeah.
It is. So how can we invest more in Developer on Fire and get a cut?
Good question, right? Well,
hey, I'm talking business here, baby.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
What do you think, Sean? We are
you can organize the conference. How about that?
There we go.
We are early investors, so just they can keep
share. Yeah.
They can keep the glory. I don't care about glory. Glory doesn't pay bills, man.
If only those 500,000 downloads were also dollars, that would be
great.
Cool. Yeah,
that'd be sweet.
Trade it down for $1.
Yeah. Well, that's what Dan Carlin says, right? Well, shelving for the moment the question of do you guys listen to Dan Carlin at all? He kind of in his whole spiel of donates to the show and stuff like that. He says $1 a show, it's all we ask, right? I think that's actually the announcer voice that says that. But yeah, $1 a show, that's $1 a download, that would be pretty nice. But
yeah, why not?
Yeah,
it'd be kind of fun to set up a little service where you could kind of there's a gaming site called itch.io where it's kind of like pay what you want for a lot of games. I could imagine setting up like a site where if you want, you can support the show by basically buying a subscription to it, even though there's no requirement to buy the subscription.
That's really what Patreon is.
Yeah, it is. But it's kind of more like...
Yeah, you don't see it there when you go to download the episode. But, I mean, yeah, with podcasting, that's impossible since you use, custom software to download all of your podcasts.
Yeah, but, I mean, you could just kind of, it would be almost symbolic or whatever, go on and say, I want to pay this much per episode. And then it would basically keep track of your podcast stream. And then whenever a new episode jumps in, it would charge, a certain amount. With maybe some sort of monthly maximum so that, you don't just be like, I'm going to throw in a ton of podcasts now and charge this guy's credit card.
Well, Patreon has that too, right? I mean, they have a per content item.
Oh, yeah.
And I did the monthly one when I signed up for it, but it does. And I support a couple of other shows. It's got that option for, well, the creator sets it up, I think, which is kind of strange. I think you ought to be able to just, just whatever the patron wants to do, right? Let them pick which way they want to do it. But it's, when you do a per content item, there's also, you put a monthly cap on it too. So that functionality is there on that. But you're right. If you know what, I mean, that would be a really, or a podcast player to have just, the supporting, support the creators built right into the app, and like you said, it's going to know whether you downloaded that show and listened to it, or whether, you skipped over it, or, any of those kind of things. So, I mean, it could tell you about whether you actually consumed the content in addition to whether you downloaded it at all.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was some interesting article about that earlier today on Medium. I forgot the link. So, but basically, he talked about how we have problems paying for content over the internet, right? A video or a podcast in this case, right? Even if it costs a mere $1 or $4 or $5, whatever it may be, right? But yet we have no problem to go to the store and buy something for $10, $20. Hell, those people that pay $5 for the coffee, absolutely no problem buying that coffee for $5, right? A day. Yet when it comes to donate $1, let's say for a podcast, like in this case, right? Like, oh my God, $1? Hell no.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's we are all, I think, kind of guilty of this at some level. I know I am, at least. And it still makes you think, right? Like, hey, somebody took the time, energy, and effort to put this content together for you. You will not pay $0 for, let's say back in the day, a newspaper or a magazine, right? 99 cents cheapo content. But now, since everything's available virtually for free on the internet, right? Farms, when you ask them for $1 or even $2 thing, most people, not everybody, but most people, once again, including myself, right? I mean, Sean, this goes with games, right? I mean, I'm going to put myself on the spot here. Back in the day, I had no problem, absolutely no problem buying a physical game, a physical box for like $50, $60, like shelling out money. And this was in my college years, which was either food or gas, not both.
Yeah.
So now I have problems buying a game that cost me $9.99. And I'm like, I'm going to wait for it to go on sale or go to one of those websites, pay whatever I want to pay, and pay like $2 or $3 when a game can cost easily $15 or $20. So it's the ease of how content is delivered nowadays that we don't see the physical thing that makes us like, it's not worth that much because I don't see it. It's not tangible.
Yeah, music is the other obvious example.
Right. I mean, music, exactly. Music is the other example. I mean, before I used to, I was never a big CD guy, but, I used to get CDs and they were like, man, how were they? Like $12, $13?
Something like that.
Yeah, early on, like
Right.
20, right? I mean, it came down.
Yeah. Right. But I mean, it was still, now if you ask someone to buy a whole album for that much money for $20, right? I mean, including myself.
You buy the songs you want, kind of a deal. If you even do that.
Right. Or you wait until they go on sale.
Yeah. For me, it's hey, I can go to YouTube, pretty much listen to, if I get a song where I'm like, I got to listen to that song because it's stuck in my head and I want to listen to it a bunch of times because it's new and I really like it. I'll go to YouTube and just listen on it on replay forever.
Yeah.
And then, I don't need it anymore. So
yeah. And, Pandora and Amazon Music and, all of the other services, Google Play, iTunes, it's iTunes. I think they're still individual content items. I don't think you can buy an unlimited plan on iTunes. Maybe you can. I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah, I think they have like iMusic or something like that. They launched some sort of a music.
I guess they would have to.
Spotify type thing. Yeah. But there's even I'll say even when I went and I'm thinking about it now and I'm like, Man, I'm only supporting the Developer on Fire Patreon so much, but that exact thing went through my head, that this kind of like, is this, this seems steep. Should I, and it's not that much, and when I sit and take all emotion out of it, it's like, well, this is a no brainer, just contribute, whatever. But that same kind of like, but if I went to like Burger King tomorrow and wanted to get a $10 Whopper meal or something, it's like, whatever. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah. Well, that it is freely available, I think is probably a big part of the thing, right? It's uncomfortable to pay for something when there's no gate there, no checkout line to actually say that you need to do this. You can't walk off with it. So I think that's a contributing factor, I guess.
I don't know, but I have a hard time with stuff that isn't at all free, but it's cheap, but isn't at all free too. So it's, I don't know. I always figured it was something kind of Midwestern where we're kind of cheapskates, and so we won't pay for anything.
Yeah.
But
I'm very happy to buy apps for my phone that I know are going to help me and that I believe are quality, right? But to go into the app store and see, search and find something, no way I'm going to pay money for something that I don't know what it is, and it's probably silly for the prices that most apps are asking, right? But then again, I mean, most of the time, if I'm going to install something from an app store, there's not much chance I'm going to use it, right? I mean, the things that I use, like my podcast player, of course, I'll pay money for that. That's obvious, but there's not really that much else that I actually use.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, I think it's a human thing, a lot of us are, what is it? Penny wise but pounds full.
Yeah.
I know I fall into the category. This is why I bring up I put myself as an example, because I tend to do that quite a bit, more often than I care to admit.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the podcast, right? I mean, how many people will actually pay per episode as opposed to, being a Patreon supporter? And that's the part that annoys me, is that the internet has made a lot of things free, and the expectation is that, why should I pay for this content? I mean, there's pros and cons as a consumer and as a creator. And so you become, I think when you are as a consumer, you don't see what goes on behind the scenes as a producer of this content. And it's then that you realize, like, oh crap, yeah, I better start supporting people, because if I start creating content and then nobody's paying me for that time, then crap, what the hell? Why am I doing it to begin with?
Yeah. Well, I mean, open source software has all of the same issues, right? I mean,
right.
There's additional options for how open source software can be monetized, but it's the same thing, right? An expectation of that there is going to be free, and often abuse of open source maintainers, right? Whether it's the quality of the code or the slowness to respond to an issue, or whatever it is, there's an expectation of enterprise level support for something that is somebody's hobby project.
It spreads all over, and I'm kind of sad to see that. Just being the norm nowadays. But once again, that was because now I'm also a content creator. Now I know the time, the amount of energy, time that it takes, and nobody's paying me for this. So before, Dave, let me just say, if I came across your Developer on Fire podcast and I was still a consumer, I would not give you one dime.
Yeah. I would supporter. Say that again. Sorry, I interrupted you.
I don't care how great it was, and I probably, changed my life and all this stuff, but I'm not giving you one dime. Why? Because I did not have the content creator pain or struggle. But now that I do, now I understand the what goes behind the scenes. So it's just one of those things that you have to put yourself in the shoes of the other person to understand what's going on. And I think that's the biggest thing right now, that the same people who expect to get paid for their stuff are the people who do not want to pay or support, the content that other people are putting out there. So I don't know. It's one of those things. So
Yeah. I was a supporter of 2 podcasts before I started making podcasts. And I think you're exactly right. I think that number, I'm not quite sure how many. I think Patreon, I'm supporting like 4 or 5 shows, something like that. I think probably a total of like, 7 to 10 podcasts that I support now. And it's exactly right. You appreciate more what goes into it. And I think, I feel, and I'm subscribed to more podcasts, and I kind of feel like I either should unsubscribe them or, find a way to chip something into what they're doing.
Yeah. Although if they're ad supported, then
that makes a difference.
Downloading it is almost how you pay them.
Yeah,
the
that's
more
true.
they can get downloads, the more they can charge for advertising. So
yeah. And I mean, I listen to some huge, podcasts with enormous listener base that are making just the advertising revenue. I don't know what it is, but the Tim Ferrisses and the Joe Rogans. I mean, those guys are, and Joe Rogan's podcast is like 10 minutes of ads at the start of every show. It is ludicrous how long that is. Of course, the show is like 3 hours long too. So I guess that it is a factor, but it is a long preamble. It's it's the one where it's worth it to take my phone out, to open, unlock the screen and, skip through that stuff, because it is just so much of it.
we lose Jose.
I think we may have, went to picture instead of video. You still there, Jose? Yeah, I didn't think so. So he'll be back.
Yeah,
he was getting some drops a little bit on some of what he was saying.
Yeah,
but you're crystal clear.
Must be my fantastic internet.
Yeah. So I wanted to come back to it. Dan Carlin. You guys ever heard of Dan Carlin?
It sounds really familiar, but I don't know if I could place it.
He has 2 podcasts. One of them is called Hardcore History. And these are marathons, 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours of content, just deep dive into something historical, some story. He did this series on the Mongols, right? He called it the Wrath of the Khans, and it was just epic. It was like 4 or 5 or 6 just episode, and it's just him, right? It's all monologue, but he's got this rich radio voice, and just so deep into the topic, and just epic. I don't know why I was so interested in asking you about him, because it has nothing to do with software at all, but he's spectacular. His other podcast is more kind of his take on politics and liberty and some of that stuff, which is really interesting, and I really enjoy the guy. But
hey, Dave,
dude,
I tend to disagree with you that that is not all about software development. Now, after also listening to, what is it, John Larson? What is his name? No, the guy that you had before. That you just had recently. I forgot his name. Damn it.
John Sonmez?
It was John. No, not John. Not that John, man.
Oh,
the Agile guy. What's his name?
John LeDrew.
Yes, him.
John LeDrew.
Yeah, he has the rich boys, right? One of those things that I think we as software developers, we tend to do, right? It's like, you can't just take off your human hat or person had when you walk into an office, right? You say, hey, all right, I stop being the person. I'm just going to be now software developer, right? I mean, we try to do that. I try to do it too, but sometimes, you know, I mean, we want to do that, right? I know I do. Sometimes I used to code just to lose myself and not think about the problems that I had. And I'm wondering if any of us, and I bring this question to the table, if any of you guys have actually coded, not because you wanted to code, or because you wanted to use that as a form of escapism from reality. You know, so that's for another topic for another time. I think right now my point was, you know, I know Sean gave a little slight smile there because Sean, a gamer to a gamer, you know, sometimes I'm a game, not to game, right? I have to admit, you know, addiction problems.
I wrote a blog post about being a professional and you know what that means, and I think you know I really emphasize that thing you're talking about there of check your humanity at the door. You know, stop being yourself, become the perfect clone of all the other, you know, the robots that we have here. And so you know I think that I completely agree with you on that.
So what I'm trying to say with this is that we try to do that, but man, sometimes when crap in your personal life is just crap, you know, it's hard to do that, right? Because it takes more energy to act like everyone else, like to pretend that everything's okay, right? So this is why I go to the core, right? That the core is that we are humans, and whatever hat we're wearing, right? It doesn't matter, because if you, as a person, as a human, is interested in a topic, you are gonna dig in the topic. Like that history thing, right? Now you got my attention because I also like history, and I like how history is told. So there you go, Dave. Now I might go look into that guy's podcast and consume it. Because I always enjoy history.
Yeah. So yeah, I put the link into Slack of you know, I put the link into Slack of my blog post that I mentioned there, and I will link to Dan Carlin as well.
Oh, thanks. So what I'm saying is that it does have everything to do with software development, in my opinion, because it's another curiosity, right? It's how we keep the mind, you know, appeased. I mean, to be honest with you guys, I started software development not because like, oh my God, you know, my parents or I saw someone that inspired me. No, I stumbled into this. It was curiosity. That's all that how I landed here. Nothing else. Nothing told me about how much money I could make or my success in my career or anything like that. I just really stumbled into it. And curiosity just drove me to where I am today, you could say. So, you know, so the person, the core, right? The curiosity has a lot to do with, you know, software development and anything else that you as a person are curious about. So,
absolutely.
you know, so that's why when I say, you know what, you know, how you said it has nothing to do with software development. Like I said, I disagree, because I think it has to do a lot with software development, because a lot of us are curious, right? Otherwise, we could have called this quits and just like move on. It may not be just always software development, but as you, Dave, when you started this podcast, right? Like, hey, how can I bring another value more than just code to the software community, right? The curiosity, something sparked that, right? Somewhere, so down the road, you got spark and you're like, yeah, but curiosity drove you there, right? And just like Sean with gaming, right? Same thing with Sean, like, how can I create games to, you know, that's curiosity driving you there. And I'm here today too because I'm like, okay, what are these nerds going to talk about today? So I'm curious to see their opinions and whatnot. And what else I can, you know, I can take away from that wisdom, you know, drink from that fountain that otherwise was not accessible to me. And be honest with you, it's curiosity to see if I'm crazy or you know, if there's other people crazier than me. And it appears to be that there's people crazier than me, aka Dave.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You know, I am just enamored with YouTube lately. I wanna just sit down and watch YouTube all the time. And the videos that are capturing my attention are not software, right? They are, like you said, everything's related to everything. So, you know, they are in some way. But man, I cannot get enough of the kind of the social climate, the you know, the philosophy, the way humans relate to each other stuff on YouTube. And I am just devouring that stuff. And it's you know, that's what's got me sparked these days.
That's what lights you up lately.
Yeah. I mean, it's thus far it's all been in a consumption mode, and you know, I'm not creating. But you know, I keep telling Sean that I really think I have something to contribute to the world in that realm too.
Sure.
Yeah. So when are you going to start the other podcast, Dave?
Is that gonna be the?
I know. Yeah. I'm.
Is that gonna be the other Dave podcast?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I bought the domain goodintentionspodcast.com, and I don't know, I'm kind of waffling on whether that's really the name that I want to use for the thing. The idea being that yes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but the biggest problem that we have today, and I saw it with my own kid, you know, I see it all the time with my own kids, right? My daughter was you know, in a funk today and you know, upset. And I asked her, what's wrong, right? You know, it was that her sister punched her. You know, I'm like, yeah. If I went and asked her right now, did she punch you? Do you think she would tell me that she did? And she was like, no. I'm like, well, what? Do you think she would just lie to me? It's like, no. And I mean, the ultimate conclusion there to me is, you can be a victim, right? You can think that everybody is out to get you, or somebody, right? That there are, you know, that there are malicious, evil people all around you, and they're doing nasty things to you. But you know, Scott Hanselman, you know, said about Microsoft, right? That, you know, we're not nearly as organized as we'd have to be as evil as you think we are, right? You know, that kind of thing, right? I think at the core, right? Back to that core, Jose, right? Humans are good, right? We have good intentions in our hearts. And if we could just open up our eyes, and instead of, you know, you're a bad guy, right? You disagree with me. You're a Nazi. You need to be punched, you know, all of that kind of stuff. If we could just say, hey, you know, we're humans, right? Let's find the common ground that we have. I think we've all got good intentions in our hearts. And, you know, yes, good intentions lead to all kinds of atrocities. But if we could just see the good in each other, a lot of the problems would go away.
Mm-hmm. So is this going to be part of the content of the new podcast?
I think it needs to be, and I keep hesitating to do it. And there are reasons for that, but not good ones. Not good ones.
Well, you know, I was listening to that episode you did with John Sonmez. I finally listened to that the second one the other day, and one of the things he said was kind of like, what would you do no matter what you're doing? That was kind of the question he posed.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's kind of what you're supposed to do, or it's a purpose or whatnot. I kind of wonder, like, because you've kind of talked about before, you know, being in jobs and these kinds of philosophical things would come up, and you'd love talking about them, and even within your podcast realm, you bring this stuff up in this context and stuff, which, you know, isn't really, well, it's not directly software development.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm wondering, is that the thing, talking about or trying to pursue that, the thing that you would do always, whatever you're doing, would it lead, you know, so is there, maybe if you follow kind of his advice, then is pursuing that going to kind of help you towards more self-actualization than other things? I'm just curious.
That's the question, right? I mean, that's ultimately, and so when I think about it, right, I mean, in any decision about what you're going to do, right, the question you have to ask yourself is, well, what is the worst thing that could happen, right? And if I am frank about the things that I believe, right, the worst thing that could happen is that I'm going to torpedo my career as a software podcaster. It would completely go away because nobody's going to want to listen to the guy that has the fringe nut job opinions, right? And I could become persona non grata in software communities and potentially find it difficult to find a job. When you Google search my name, right, you're going to come across all of this nonsense, right? So there's a hell of a lot of downside and potential, to do it. But yeah, you're right. When I listen to Joe Rogan and I'm like, this guy is just frankly speaking the truth, having conversations with mind-blowing people about things that matter, right? Deep conversations about the nature of humans and the universe and all of these things. Man, that is so appealing. I am jealous of him that he does that kind of thing, right? It's so spectacular. And I suspect that would be exactly what I want.
Yeah. And in whatever you do you seek out those kinds of conversations and those kinds of interactions with people where you're talking about deep, meaningful things with people? I mean, that might be what led you into starting Developer on Fire to begin with. It's just taken a much more software focused thing, but it's that kind of like, I want to hear from people that are doing interesting things and have deep, meaningful conversations about their lives and what they're doing in the software space. But maybe this is a broader thing that you want to get into. And I don't know what your hesitancy is, except for, like you said, a lot of what ifs about, I think though, unless you were to get into, because I know you're very libertarian, because obviously this would fall into probably political realm. I think most people don't alienate libertarians. It's once you start to get into fascism, that's where people start to freak out. And then if they mistake one for the other, well, they don't want to hang out with those people anyways. But
well, I think they do often mistake one for another, and I think that they do associate with, if I say things like taxation is theft, right, then that turns into you don't care about the poor, which I think is not even close to the truth. But that is the step that the typical mind takes from there, right? And it's, well, if you don't care about the poor, then you must not care about poor minorities, and then you must be a bunch of nasty things that end with ist, right? And it's the character assassination that comes from this progression of, if you are this, then you must be this. If you are this, then you must be this. And ultimately, you are a Nazi, right?
Wow.
I think that saying you're libertarian and therefore Nazi is ludicrous. But I think that's the path that,
because libertarianism and authoritarian, totally opposite.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So you're probably closer to anarchism, which is another, which it's funny that anarchism would be, people would be so against it, because it's really the ends of both kind of libertarianism and kind of communism. Kind of, if you follow certain sects, communism is anarchism to a certain extent. So
yeah, the old adage is, what's the difference between a libertarian and an anarchist? About 6 months.
Yeah. If it's worked. Yeah. So.
But Sean, taking it back to to what John says, right? I mean, to be honest with you guys, it comes down to how to pay bills, right? Because I understand Dave that, right? If Dave could have, I'm sorry, Dave, I don't mean to speak for you, but basically, I'm putting myself in the situation again, right? If I had if I didn't
what
have
John
to
said.
work, I'm sorry?
What John said, right? If you have the fuck you money, right, is how John put it. Yeah.
Yes. If I did have that FU money, let me put it this way: I think I would shelf development like right away and actually speak what I want to speak about. Yeah, some people are gonna think like WTF, but some other people are gonna be like, finally somebody said it. Finally somebody else out there speaking what I always thought about, right? So I think you're always gonna have that in a whole gray area in between. So I know that stops me. I know that sometimes I see things and I want to just call the shots, regardless if it's political, racial, economic, socioeconomic, but I can't, because if I put videos like that or some sort of content out there like that, man, like Dave was saying, nobody's gonna want to ever hire me again because I will have that. But if I don't rely on their money and people are willing to pay me or some ads or whatnot for a podcast, a YouTube channel, whatnot, who cares, right? Like, I don't care. I'll do this for fun, and I'm actually speaking my mind of what I want to say. And hey, some people are gonna agree, and some people are gonna disagree. So I guess what I'm trying to say is about now virtual reputation, at least to get the next job to pay for bills.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be honest, guys. If it wasn't for that, shoot, I'll be just blabbering stuff out every day on YouTube channels or podcasts. Like, I don't care what you think of me. I have nothing to lose. There's nothing more scared than a man who has nothing to lose. Yeah, just imagine yourself. You have nothing to lose. This is what I asked today. If you have all your bills paid and you didn't have to work for money, what would you do? It's like, what John said. When you have the FU money, who's going to stop you? That's what John is doing today, what he wants. He wasn't doing this kind of content a year, 2 years ago. His content from, earlier times was totally different. But now, because he has the FU money, he can put whatever the hell he wants on his YouTube channel and still walk away scot-free. Why? Because he can. Simple.
Yeah.
Let's be real. I mean, that's how I see it. Because I would do the same freaking exact same thing. Nothing to fear. What the hell? I'm not gonna go hungry, or my mortgage is gonna get paid. Why do I care? Why do I care what Dave has to say or what Sean has to say? Shit, I don't need their money. I'm good. So I don't know. I mean, that's the feeling that I get. And sometimes we gotta do what we gotta do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ultimately, that's it, right? It's.
Yeah. Well, Dave, are you gonna share this with other things? Are you recording or not? I'll put myself in a tight spot.
This is recorded. It is live streamed. It's on YouTube. It's on a channel that's not very public, right? I mean, not. Well, I think it is public by default, but I think it's not. Nobody's going to find this, but without knowing that it's there. But yeah, it's worth sharing.
All right, it's out there. So whatever. If somebody finds me and says, "Oh crap, we like Jose, but we like to pull out his contract because he was talking spiel online." Well then, thank you, Dave.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time thinking about what I would say on the internet affecting my ability to do or to support my family in any way. I mean, there are things I could say for sure, but I wouldn't say those things. Yeah, So I've been trying to. I can't really relate to that feeling of that fear that to not speak your mind. Yeah.
Well, how about this? I'm going to stop the recording, the live stream of this call, and I'll tell you. I'll tell you guys some of my opinions that'll get me in hot water. So, all right, stop this now.